Hi there, I'm Nancy Nash with Starfish Strength, and today I'm going to give you a workout using just a set of dumbbells to build strength, tone, and balance in your whole body. So for equipment today, you'll want a set of dumbbells or cans. And if you have multiple sets of dumbbells, have them all handy. Because for some of the exercises, you want lighter dumbbells, and for others, you'll want to go a little heavier. You'll also want an exercise mat and enough room to make a snow angel in all directions. And as always, don't forget to have your water handy. So we're going to lead off with alternating rear lunges with a side or lateral raise. So I'm going to use my lighter dumbbells for this. I'm going to begin by drawing my belly in, making sure my joints are aligned, my ankles, knees, and hips, and I'm going to keep my weight on the foot that's forward. So try just a couple that are basically a rear step and then do that lateral raise so that you can focus on keeping your weight on that forward foot. And then I'm going to drive myself back to my start position using that forward leg. So to do that, I'm going to squeeze the abs, the quads, and the glutes all at the same time. And then when you're ready, we're going to combine those moves. So remembering to draw my belly in first, and I'm going to step back, keeping my weight on that forward leg, thinking about using that back leg as a kickstand as I raise the weights to the side. This is challenging, so if you need to keep these movements separate, feel free to do that. I'm going to try to raise my wrists so that they're about as high as my shoulders, and I'm keeping just a micro bend in my elbows. Remembering again to make sure that the ankles, knees, and hips stay in alignment. You don't want those knees to start buckling in towards one another. They're not going to feel fabulous later on, and that's not going to train our glutes. And we want those muscles to be strong and toned so we have good balance and a good looking hiney. So I should feel this in the top of my shoulders. I should also feel it in my back underneath the shoulder blades. I should really feel your heart rate getting up. This is a difficult exercise because we're combining lower and upper body. And then remember, anytime you need to, you can take this into those shallower steps. So I'm trying to get a 90-degree bend in both of my knees optimally. But if you're not a person that does lunges a whole lot, or you've done more shallow lunges, you're probably not going to feel ready for that today, and that's okay. So just make sure that you're staying in a range of motion that feels good to your knees, where you can really feel yourself using that front leg to power yourself back to center. Because lunges are really about building that single leg strength, which we need for everything, right? Walking, running, balancing when we're trying to pick something up. And if the weights get too heavy at any point, you can always drop them. This exercise involves good strength, good flexibility, and good balance. So take the adjustments you need the first time you try it. The second time you try it, it's going to feel a little bit more intuitive, a little bit easier. And if you're diligent in doing this workout a couple times a week, you will build the strength to do this, I guarantee it. So keep it going for 1 or 2 more reps, trying to make it relatively even on each side. Great work. We're going to move on to our next exercise. So we're going to move on to a deadlift. So I'm going to recommend that you use your heavier weights for this, but if something doesn't feel right, please go down to lower weights at any time. So I'm going to start with an even stance with my ankles, knees, and hips aligned underneath my shoulders, draw my belly in, and I'm going to pull my shoulders back deliberately, squeeze my glutes deliberately. And going into my deadlift, I'm going to hold my upper body firm as I push my hips back. And then to come up, I'm going to push through the balls of my feet and drive with the legs. So try that again. Really trying to deliberately keep the shoulders back, keep the abs drawn in. And I'm only going to hinge and go into my deadlift so far that I can keep my back flat. So if you start feeling like you're doing that reach, that hunch forward, you feel something unkind in your shoulders, unkind in your lower back, let yourself come up and just try this in a little bit shallower range of motion. We want to make sure that everything feels really good as we're training so that eventually we can get into that range of motion with strength and balance. So a really common compensation with this is seeing the knees come in towards one another. So remembering, as I'm starting in that standing position and draw my belly in and deliberately squeeze my glutes is going to help my hips, knees, and ankles stay in alignment. But if that's not enough for you, you can think about pushing your knees out as you push your hips back. They're probably not really going to go out, but what you are going to do is activate the arches in your feet. So where squats are up and down, deadlifts are a hinge. So you can think about forward and back. So as I push my hips back, I'm going to shift my weight more into my heels, and then I'm going to push my weight into the balls of the feet to straighten the legs and come up. So even if you can think about that forward and back motion, and then you can see that I am bending my knees, and I do that because I really want to functionally train the back of my legs to lift. Straight leg deadlifts have their purpose, but I really want to make sure your legs are strong and toned so that you can do all of the things that you want to do. But I'm not going to bend my knees until I start hinging at the hips. So hinging at the hips for as long as I can. And then when that range of motion ends, that's where I bend the knees. And then as soon as I feel like my back might start to round, I'm going to push through the feet to stand up. So don't think about this like I need to touch the floor. Think about what range of motion can my hips and my back do in a healthy manner. So I know I gave you a lot to think about. Whichever elements of form are helping you the most, think about those for the last couple reps. And then go ahead and let yourself grab some water if you need to. So for our final standing exercise, we're going to do a dumbbell curl to an overhead press. So we're going to line up with the ankles, knees, and hips and shoulders stacked. I'm going to draw my belly in, keeping the elbows towards the front of my rib cage. I'm going to curl up, then turn so the palms are facing forward and press overhead. And then I really want to make sure that as I'm reversing this, I'm controlling that motion because you're getting just as much strength training in that lowering phase, that eccentric phase, as you are in the concentric pushing phase. Now, I am going to recommend that you use your lighter dumbbells for this. If you're diligent with this, you will find that your strength builds in no time, but our strength potential in the top of the shoulders is just not the same as it is when we do like a chest press because we have so much more muscle behind that push. So because of that, we really want to watch what the back is doing, what the elbows are doing. So I want to make sure that the elbows stay towards the front of my rib cage. A really common compensation in this is to bring the elbows back behind the rib cage. And eventually that leads us to shoulder pain and neck pain. So I'm going to tighten the front of my shoulders, which in turn is kind of pulling on the upper traps and the neck muscles, which is not going to feel good later on. So make sure you're using a weight where you can keep the elbows in front of your rib cage. And then the other thing I want to watch out for is that as I press overhead, I don't start to lean back. That is no good for the back. I'm not training my core properly when I do that. I'm going to actually wind up with an ache in my lower back or my hip later on. So making sure that I'm really drawing the belly in. If I need to, I can even push the hips back and exaggerate that a little bit. If my core muscles are not that strong right now, that's much better that you push your butt back and feel it in the glutes a little more than you feel it in your lower back. So take that modification if you need it. We're going to try a couple more reps here. So remember to really draw the belly in, slightly bend the knees as I curl up, turn the palms to face forward, press overhead, and then really focus on that control as I reverse the motion. All right, awesome job. We're going to come all the way down onto the floor for the rest of our workout. So go ahead and grab your exercise mat. So I'm going to bring my feet onto the floor and bring my dumbbell between my hands right over my chest. I'm going to lift one of my legs so it's straight, draw my belly in, and simultaneously I'm going to reach overhead as I lower that leg and then do kind of like a crunch without lifting my head to pull the dumbbell towards my leg. Now they do not need to touch. The point of this really is core training, and we're going to be training the shoulders, the quads, and the hip flexors as well. But I'm going to draw my belly in before I reach reach the dumbbell overhead and lower the leg. And I'm only going to reach so far as I can keep my back cemented to the floor. So this might be a small range of motion, especially if you've got long legs like I do. So don't give yourself a literal pain in the back with this. Just do this in whatever range of motion is comfortable for you right now. With the upper body, I want to focus on keeping my elbows in a little bit narrower than my shoulders. And that's really going to help me train those upper abs, the triceps, and the shoulders without any funny business in the elbows. We don't want to have any elbow pain later on. All right, so give yourself 1 or 2 more really good reps there. And then we're going to go ahead and switch sides. And if you need a break, feel free to take one. So I'm going to raise my opposite leg, draw my abs in, reach overhead as I lower that leg, and then pull the dumbbell over almost all the way to my belly so the shoulders come down, and then reach back overhead. And you might find, that one side of your abs and back actually feel a lot stronger than the other. That's not uncommon. So one of your legs feels a lot heavier and you're not someone that has some hardware in it, that's not too uncommon. Just work with it, work within your level of strength and your range of motion. If you're coming back from an injury or you have a major imbalance, you always want to program yourself for the side that's more difficult. You don't want to be outpacing that side because then you're going to just continue training in that imbalance. So if you have a weaker side, I always recommend starting on that side, doing what that side can do, and then on your more dominant side, trying to match it. So remembering that I want to keep my back cemented to the floor throughout this entire exercise. You're doing an awesome job. Try 1 or 2 more in whatever range of motion feels best. Great work. Go ahead and let yourself grab some water and we're going to finish this workout. So I don't need my dumbbells for this next exercise. You can set those to the side. We're going to come into a glute bridge with marching knees. So I'm going to place my palms at my sides. I'm going to draw the belly in, squeeze the glutes, and lift the hips. And then I'm going to hold and draw one of my knees towards my chest. Place that foot gently back on the floor and do that on the other side. And then I'm going to lower the hips down, disengage the muscles, and then do that again. And I want my heels to be equidistant from my hips. I want my feet to be nice and straight. So as I'm doing this, I'm trying to make sure that I hold my hips level. And remember what we said about imbalances. If you've got a tighter hip, only raise so far as that tighter hip allows you to, not forcing it, but just raising in a range of motion that it's comfortable with. Let yourself hold there and then do your march. Because as soon as you start marching those knees, you'll find that your hip wants to dip. So by resisting that, we're really training those lower abs and glutes to get strong. And this is a great exercise for balance. We're working those muscles that help you balance. Now, if this is feeling too challenging, I'm going to have you come just into a basic bridge, and then you can always progress this as you're ready. So for my basic bridge, I want to make sure that everything's even, my ankles, knees, and hips. I'm going to draw that belly in, squeeze the glutes, bridge the hips up, and then control on the way back down. Now, as I bridge the hips up, I also want to think about slightly pushing the hips forward towards the knees. So that's really going to activate my glutes. It's going to stretch the front of my thighs and the front of my hips, which may be the barrier for you. You may just have a lot of tightness in your quads or in your hip flexors that's making the range of motion in this exercise challenging. And then when you're ready, go ahead and progress it to that knee march. This is an exercise I do nearly every day just as a good alignment exercise for my body. So if you're someone that's on your feet a lot or walking a lot for your work, or even if you're stuck at a desk all day and you just have really tight hips, this is a great exercise. Trust me, if you practice this, practice doing it evenly, you're going to get that strong, toned core and booty that you're looking for in no time. So we save the best for last, or maybe the most difficult exercise for last. I'm going to use my heavier dumbbells for this, but you might want to use the lighter ones first and see how you feel. We're gonna do a plank with an alternating row, or sometimes it's called a Renegade row. And we've got a couple different options for this exercise, so we'll go through them all. So my first option is to be on the knees instead of the feet. So I'm gonna come into a low plank position with the dumbbells in each hand and my wrists right underneath my shoulders. Now I need to be able to maintain just a little bend in my elbow without pain throughout this exercise. And then I'm gonna alternatively row. So I'm gonna draw one elbow out to my side, pulling the weight, and then do the same thing on the other side. Now to properly row, I need to make sure that I'm pulling with the shoulder first. So it's not just about pulling that elbow out to the side. Now this is not a beginner move. So if you're not familiar with how to properly do dumbbell rows, I'm going to leave a couple links to other exercise videos at the end that do an easier version of the row so you can master that first. As I'm doing those alternating rows, you are going to notice that my hips are going to lift a little bit. I'm going to rotate a little bit. That is okay. You just want to make sure you don't wind up with a stitch in your lower back. And you can feel this in your obliques. You can feel it in your back. You can feel it in your shoulders, but really rolling the whole shoulder cap back. So hopefully you can really see me doing that. You can see the muscles between my shoulder blades moving, because I should feel kind of like a pinching the shoulder blade toward the other one. So my next option is still in this low plank position, but I'm going to place my hands on the floor and then just have my dumbbells handy by my sides. So if this is actually easier on your hands and wrists, that's what I would recommend for you. So you can see it's a little more effort for me because I kind of have to reach for where that dumbbell is. You want to make sure that you're replacing them in that same spot, but it is a little bit easier on the wrist if you're having trouble holding that straight wrist position. So again, I should really feel this in the obliques. I should feel this in the middle of my back and between my shoulder blades. And if you need to just do 4 reps, take a break and come back, that's okay. Do what your body tells you. It's always better to break these into smaller sets than to feel like you pulled something later on. But if this is feeling pretty good to you and you're ready to do the full version, we're going to push up into a plank. So I'm going to hold the weight so I'm in that straight wrist position again, and then alternatively do my pulls. And you're noticing probably that I need to bring my feet a lot wider than I normally would in plank, just so I have that base of support. And you may need to raise your hips a little bit higher like I am, just to make sure that you're feeling this in the lower abs and you don't feel anything unkind in the lower back. Again, always take the version that you need. And then we also have that option in the full plank version to keep our hands on the mat. So, if you want to come down and try a few that way, please do that. You're going to put less stress on your wrists. Stress is not bad, right? Like anytime we're exercising, we're putting stress on the body, but we want to be able to put the appropriate amount of stress that your body needs right now where it's at to adapt, for it to get stronger functionally, not for it to hurt later on. So do whichever version feels best to you. In the shoulders, whichever version you can really feel working your abs, working your back, working your glutes. Everything's working in this exercise, right? All right, you're almost there. Home stretch. You got it. Nice job. You made it through this entire workout. High five. Make sure you let yourself grab some more water if you need some. Thanks so much for making time to work out with me today. I hope you feel stronger and more balanced going into everything else you've got planned in your week. If you're looking for more workouts, exercises, healthy recipes, and other healthy living inspiration, please check out the rest of my YouTube channel. And if you need some one-on-one support putting together your exercise program and nutrition plan, please reach out to me in the link in the description. In the meantime, I look forward to continuing this journey with you, and I'll see you in the next video. Show me your cat stretch. Show me your cat stretch. Oh, you're gonna show me your up dog tail. Oh, yeah. Blah. Or I'm not doing it right, huh? Put the button there. Yeah. Good boy. How is you now? Yeah, you've been working out hard today too, huh? You're such a good girl. Yeah. Good girl. Hey. Thank you for all your help and support today, barking and otherwise.